We're returning to chat about the ongoing issue of illegal dumping in Tulla, which has frustrated volunteers and residents alike, despite the village's recent success in the Tidy Towns competition. We're going to hear about the latest incidents, what's been done to potentially tackle the problem, and how the community can help prevent future dumping. I'm joined on the line by the Maghera Fianna Fáil Councillor Pat Hayes. Pat, good morning to you.
Morning, Alan. How are you?
Not too bad. It's unfortunate we have to talk about this again, but it does need to be continually highlighted, I suppose, as part of efforts to try and stamp it out. What can you tell us, Pat, about the latest incidents of illegal dumping in Tulla?
Well, look, I said to Tim Humphries, the chair of Tulla Tidy Village, a group, that I wouldn't go on local media again talking about this, because this is really frustrating for the people in Tulla, and particularly for the Tidy Towns group and the community groups in Tulla, because they continuously do their best on a volunteer basis to enhance and improve Tulla. And we have continuous problems at our bottle banks and clothes banks there, where it seems to be just beyond belief that people, and maybe one individual or two, continue to actually flout the law and dump at the recycling centre. And I think that is really causing heartache for us all, and a challenge that why aren't we resolving this, and what are we doing about it? I suppose the one thing I would say is somebody out there knows who is doing this, and I suppose I would appeal to anyone that sees any legal activity going on there to highlight it and to make the people in the know how to deal with it, because this is unsustainable. And indeed, I've had several calls about it, and indeed an awful lot of people are asking, can we actually move the bottle banks and take them out of there and find an alternative site? And that's something we're researching at the moment as well. But at the same time, it's very hard to think that, and inevitably you could end up without a bottle bank or facilities in Tulla, and that's not what you want for the greater good of Tulla, because
that could exacerbate the issue that's at hand, couldn't it?
It could, but at the same time, you can understand the degree of frustration from people that this continuously happens, and it happens in other parts of the county as well. But particularly here in Tulla, it gets highlighted on their social media and all, and it's in an effort to try and determine who is doing the dumping all the time. So I think that's really one of the challenges. I suppose from my point of view, when I was on with you last year, the end of last year, in relation to this, I said I would try and take action to try and deal with this particular issue and dumping across the county in general, because I've been looking at other councils and people around the country enacting the law under the circular economy.
Yeah, and I know, and I'm sorry to cut across you, Pat, but I know you have you brought a motion to the council, and we want to find out about that, because also the response you received. But you did mention Tim Humphries, Tulla Tidy Towns volunteer. Tim also joins us. Tim, good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan. Morning, Pat.
And I'm sure, like Pat, you know, it's a frustration to come on yet again to talk about something that I suppose is negative in relation to Tulla, but that's not Tulla's fault. It's whoever is the perpetrator or perpetrators behind this. This wasn't just a bag or two. Tell us what we're finding in the latest incident or episode of illegal dumping.
Okay, so the latest notification I got was photographs of a couple of bin liners, which would be kind of the norm. So I reckon that's the same person doing that. But in addition to that, then over the opposite side of the recycle bank, there was a suitcase and a microwave oven. You know, in the microwave oven, you can return free recycling, like, do you know what I mean? Either when you're buying a new one, or just bring it into the dump, you know, for free. But you know, it's even freer if you just drop it off in the recycle bank in Tulla or any other village around the county, or the country for that matter.
Is that, I mean, it's bad enough dumping illegally, but that's a real head scratcher, isn't it? Dumping things that it would cost this person nothing to dump in the proper manner. Yeah,
that's it. Like, and it suggests that it's now it's a second party as opposed to the regular party that is dumping in the recycle bank in Tulla. You know, so it suggests that the person that's been doing it for the last, since I think May was the last time of last year was when we spoke about this originally. That individual or person keeps coming on a regular basis, but this other incident there at the weekend would suggest, because it was left in a different part the recycle bank that it suggests it's a second party of people as well.
Pat mentioned earlier on, I mean, like you and your colleagues who are giving of your own free time as Tidy Towns volunteers to keep the place looking as well as possible, how, I mean, angering and frustrating it is to have this kind of crack going on. And Pat also mentioned the risk that good facilities like the Bring Bank could be taken away if the abuse continues, which would be understandable if it happens, Tim.
And that's the last thing. Like, I mean, if you sit there for even half an hour, you're going to get maybe 5 or 6 people going in there, like, you know, and using the facility properly, you know. And so you multiply that by 8 hours, say, or even 5 hours over a day. You know, you've upwards of 50 people using that over a weekend. You know, and they're people that are using it properly the way it's designed to be used. You know, so if you remove that facility, that's 50 people that are put out. You know.
Yeah, very true. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but if things continue the way they are. In terms of things continuing, Pat, just to bring you back in, you had touched on doing something about this. You did bring a motion to Clare County Council in relation to CCTV. Tell us about your latest motion.
Well, I suppose following on from our last time on your radio, and a number of people continuously, and it's just not alone Tulla, but in different parts of the county, and we see a huge amount of it in our forestries and areas, people continuously dumping. The regulations and the law was passed at government level, and I suppose it was very much, it happened in a while back, but I think a lot of councils haven't rolled out the CCTV because there is a lot of regulation around it. So I put on a motion in November asking that we'd actually engage and start the process of putting pilot areas in place to see how that would actually work in our county. And I got a very positive reply from the Director of Service and the council on it. And we had a lot of discussion, and it bordered in to know whether CCTV could be used for other issues around criminal activity as well, but it's clearly only for illegal dumping and all that. So I suppose the response really at the bottom line is that Carol Kirby, the Director of Service, actually said that they actually started the process of doing a site analysis in different areas and getting the whole legal framework in place to actually start putting CCTV, and it's hoped to have these processes in early Q1, which is, you're talking about January, February, March period, that they'd hope to have new CCTV operations up and running in pilot areas.
Which, Pat, I think people would be delighted here, and just maybe to highlight it for people.
Places like Tulla need that, and we need to just get to the bottom of this. Other people don't need to suffer for the bad work of others. So I think this is very progressive that we're actually proceeding to this. Look, there's a number of regulations around it that we have to do a whole lot of things, GDPR and people other that might be seeing that, but like it is the regulations, and we have a very positive response that we're going to do it, and it'll be rolled out very shortly around our county in different areas.
Yeah, part of the response you received mentioning under Section 14A of the 1996 Act that local authorities may operate CCTV schemes under very stringent conditions. They must illustrate proportionality of use, compliance with a data impact assessment, and creation of a business case before CCTV use can be permitted. They're restricted to using it solely for waste management purposes and must comply with stringent legislative requirements. And I suppose, look, given the issue we're talking about, you don't mind that it's restricted solely for waste management purposes, because that's what you want it to try and address. Tim, are you encouraged to hear that?
Yeah, I mean, as I said to you in previous interviews, anytime we put up a post about it, the number of comments that we get back, the lion's share of them, they're all saying CCTV, you have to get cameras in, you have to get cameras, you know. So if the will of the people is there, do you know what I mean, of the law-abiding people that actually use the facility properly, or that are resident in the village, and I'm sure it's replicated in every village around the county and across the nation. But in the meantime, you know, anytime we get notified of it, obviously I notified the local authority there through the litter warden and whatever, and with a view to getting it removed and so on. But in the meantime, obviously, and you can see from the post that we put up, there's some elements of the contents are there. And I put pictures of them up. Somebody knows who this person is. Somebody recognises some of the items that are being discarded. Do you know what I mean? So, whether they come to us directly, I'm quite happy to have a conversation with anybody that may know who it is, or alternatively, and the best way is just to send in an anonymous email or whatever into customer services in the county council, and they'll forward it on to the litter warden.
I did put this out to the listeners, particularly those listening in Tulla, what their thoughts were on this. May has been in touch with a message on our text line 086 1800 964. She says, "Good morning, Alan. Regarding the illegal dumping in the recycling centre in Tulla, it's never ending, and as a lot of it is household rubbish, it's now causing vermin, which is an issue we discussed previously, Tim. Now, with the huge increase in population in Tulla and new housing estates being built, this recycling centre isn't fit for purpose. It's too small. It needs to be moved to a bigger site with CCTV and manned with opening and closing times. It's too accessible where it is. There's traffic in and out of there at all hours. Also, it would free up that area as a car park, which would benefit the primary school. As cars are parked in the bend of the road, it's extremely dangerous." So some interesting points there from May. What do you make of those, Tim?
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I'd agree with her largely. Do you know what I mean? Because as she said, it's consistent now. It's going on nearly on a weekly basis. Do you know what I mean? And and the household element of it is kind of the biggest thing, because if you leave it there overnight, foxes are going to get at it, the rats are going to come in. You're right across the road from the school, and there's public health there for not just the school, but also anyone else coming along using the facility then afterwards. Do you know what I mean? So there's more issues arising out of it than just the fact that somebody is illegally dumping there. It has a domino effect and creates different issues then. The longer it's left there, the longer it continues. So yeah.
Final word to you on that, Pat. Not, I suppose, the probability or possibility of the site being moved to a bigger one manned by CCTV, but just the suggestion itself, whether it would be workable.
Well, look, I fully I agree with what May is saying, because in essence, the site is restricted. It's probably not in the most suitable place. The challenge is to find an alternative, and I think maybe there is merit in the point of getting a fully grown recycling centre in the Tulla area as well, because you either have to go to Scarf or Ennis, but that's something that has to be planned in the future. At the same time, we moved the bottle banks previously from the street in Tulla. They were up there to the graveyard there, and we moved them down here, thinking it would be a more suitable place for people, for parking and all that. But I think there are merits in looking at the site, but at the same time, there's no point. We need to deal with the particular issue that's happening at the moment. We need to make sure there's a prosecution and people are found guilty for what's going on here, because this is not sustainable anywhere. If it happens there, it can happen in any bottle bank. And I think hopefully with the advent of CCTV, we'll be able to manage this and restrict it, and hopefully have a managed site at the moment, but also have an eye out to look at alternative ways of getting an alternative site and a way of dealing with different issues in Tulla. Okay, well look, hopefully the next time I'm speaking to both of you, that has happened and it has had a positive impact. Gents, thank you to both of you for joining me on Morning Focus. Thank you. That's the Councillor Pat Hayes, the Maghera Fianna Fáil Councillor, and Tulla Tidy Towns volunteer Tim Humphries.